It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to another Real Estate Breakfast, talking all about your property news and information from the likes of suburbs including Forest in Canberra to Coconut Grove in Darwin. And good morning to wherever you might be listening to us this morning. If you are in the property market upgrading or first home buyers, we would love to hear from you. Like we did with Tina in Sydney's Parramatta. Hey, thanks for taking the time to email us, Tina. You said that you found a podcast of us talking about buying a property with friends, and that is what sets you on your path for doing exactly that. Glad we could help. You said that you and two of your friends have decided to get onto the property ladder together. This is the part that I found really interesting, because in the email you said that you had absolutely no savings, no deposit, but you were able to convince your parents to stump up with your third share. And now you say that it looks like you'll be buying a house, because that's what the three of you are wanting to do, which kind of makes sense. And you hope to be in your property by the end of July. That is a great story, one that we haven't heard of before. No deposit saved, but going thirds has changed all of that. Tina, please let us know what you end up buying. So do a follow-up email. And you too, if you are listening and you are on the property ladder, on your property journey, let us know what is going on. You can email us. Our email address is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. Well, it's a Thursday morning. How did we get here so fast? Oh, that's right. It's a short week. Gotta love that. Thursday, April the 24th. Now, affordable suburbs across Sydney like Hervey and Wilmot have seen price jumps of up to 11.7% in the past year, yet they still sit under the $1 million mark. In Melbourne and even Perth, prices in many outer and inner pockets have hit all-time highs. And good morning if you are in Adelaide, because Adelaide is seeing similar heat with nearly 60% of suburbs recording new peaks. So first home buyers, they're chasing properties right now, which has moved people as a result of the first RBA rate cut this year. And in the mix of that, investors are also sensing opportunities in different markets. So all things are pointing to a very active real estate market around the country. Right, let's go to Adelaide Hills in South Australia right now and welcome into the Real Estate Breakfast Kimberley Cepon. And a very good morning to you, Kimberley. Welcome in. Great to have you on the breakfast this morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Now, you are juggling your own rising household expenses while also working as an occupational rehabilitation consultant. You've also been leading the Shoe Boxes of Love. Now, this is a grassroots charity that you founded back in 2011. Tell us a little bit about Shoe Boxes of Love and who you are helping out.
Sure. So Shoeboxes of Love was founded in 2011, and our response was, I guess, a grassroots response to support the Queensland flood-affected community. So the first appeal was never meant to be anything more than just a small community effort to put this, a smile on the face of maybe 50 people. What we found from our efforts, though, was that people look for practical, affordable, and meaningful ways of contributing to disaster relief. So our first appeal saw us delivering 10.5 2,500 shoeboxes of love to Queensland. So we supported flood-affected communities, and then we were in a lucky position that we could also forward support up to Cyclone Yasi-affected communities. And from there, we set up so that we could continue to support communities that were affected by the myriad of disasters that hit Australia. So we have floods, we have cyclones, we have bushfires, and more prominently at the moment, we are supporting drought-affected communities. And the idea is that we're just a mechanism of forwarding small boxes of personal hygiene items to communities that either can't access them, don't have the resources to access them, just as a means of letting people know that the wider community care and that they haven't been forgotten.
It's a great charity that you're running. Unfortunately, the problem with where we are right now with the cost of living, everything is getting worse. I noted that the article that was talking about this was talking about that you're hearing from people who are going without toothbrushes, razors, all these basic items that we take for granted. They can't afford to buy some of these simple items. This is kind of like, okay, if you're listening to the podcast right now, this doesn't affect you. Just think, well, how can you assist these people that are in real need? So for our listeners, Kimberley, how can they get in touch? What should they do to help you out? Because from what I understand, you have supported, since you've been going, around 20,000 households, which is a lot of households that you're helping.
Absolutely. So we have distributed in our time around 20,000 shoeboxes of love solely to disaster-affected communities. However, because of the generosity of our donors and the position that we're in terms of the items we have access to, we have been able to also channel support to people who have been affected by house fires. We support a number of local organisations with toiletries that wouldn't be suitable for the boxes that we distribute, but are suitable for use for other purposes. What we're finding and what we have found over the last 12 to 18 months is that the need for basic hygiene items, so your toothbrushes, your toothpaste, deodorant, sanitary products, shampoos and conditioners, the demand has risen so significantly that charities are struggling to keep up with demand. So we have sort of pivoted a little bit and channeled out in providing support still to the disaster-affected communities, but also to people in our local community that are experiencing economic hardship. And some of the stories that we hear are really sad. So I know we still monitor our budget and we're not doing it as tough as what other families are. We're just conscious of what we spend. But if we need a new toothbrush or more toothpaste, we go and buy it. Some people are not in a financial position where they can do that. And I think my heart breaks at the idea that people can't afford the basics that they need just to maintain a standard of personal hygiene. But that has a flow-on effect on self-esteem, self-confidence, on presentation, on mental health. And that leads into further health concerns and health conditions as well. So we are trying to support as many different organisations and community pantries as we can with those essential hygiene items.
All right, so right now you are looking for donations of between $15,000 to $20,000 in the next couple of months, because otherwise you're seriously considering shutting this down. How do people help you out here, Kimberley? Where should they go?
Okay, so more information about us and ways to get involved can be found on our webpage, which is shoeboxesoflove.org.au. That has ways to help in terms of donating items and donating finances. We desperately need big chunks of cash to fund our operational expenses. So that's the essential things like rent for the facility that we use and insurance. They are two items that we cannot go without, and we are struggling to get enough money to fund them.
All right. Now, I'm sure that there's going to be a few people, like the majority will listen to this podcast this morning. It will go right over their head, but there will be a few people that will want to donate. Please let us know how this goes. And thank you so much for jumping on this morning and telling us a little bit about your charity. Keep up the good work with Shoeboxes of Love.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Decode the property market with insider knowledge and insights to better navigate your real estate journey.
Well, we should go to Brisbane, have a look at what's happening potentially there with any rate cuts, because Brisbane's most expensive suburbs do tend to react strongly to falling interest rates, excluding Browns Plains. I see you guys are saying that all top performing house markets had 1 million plus median values when rates were previously cut.
That's right. So again, kind of reiterating the idea that it is the more expensive pockets of the market that are more responsive to changes in interest rates. So some of the regions in Brisbane that are going to potentially see the most benefit from a rate reduction include Brisbane's popular inner north, which has a median house value of 1.6 million. Because we did do the analysis based on movements in the 2010s, we do have to recognise that going forward, the 2020s is a different environment. Interest rates might move lower this year, but they're not likely to go down to their pre-COVID decade average in the 2010s, and affordability has become a lot more of a constraint for Queensland in particular. So it could keep a lid on price growth. I think what is important for us, though, is understanding which markets are going to be most sensitive. So it's also the relativity of the analysis that is hopefully helpful for buyers and sellers as well.
Okay, and unlike Sydney and Melbourne, Adelaide and Perth, now they don't see dramatic changes from rate cuts. Perth's market is shaped by mining booms, while Adelaide saw slow, steady growth. So that's interesting because not everybody would realise that that would be the situation come rate cut time.
Exactly. So I think what's important to remember is that Australia doesn't have one housing market. We have lots of different markets within markets, and they have different influences. So Adelaide throughout the 2010s was not very responsive at all to reductions in the cash rate post GFC. And instead, I think sluggish population growth kind of held this market back. For WA and Perth as well, we saw that the mining boom and bust was a more important influence on the housing market than interest rate conditions. And of course, that comes back to global economic demand as well. So it's important to recognise that a reduction in the interest rate doesn't just blindly mean prices rising everywhere. And the other thing to remember for Perth, Adelaide and Brisbane to an extent is that all of these cities have had extremely strong increases in value during rapid rate rises from May 2022. So potentially people were already pricing in rate reductions in their purchases, and that could see a bit of a lackluster response.
It's the Real Estate Podcast, talking properties from 6 a.m. every day from every corner of the Australian real estate market.
As rates come down, that saving is going to go towards the cost of living in another area. So I don't see a lot of relief for a lot of these households until there's something happens at a higher level in terms of wages or cost of living relief.
Yeah, and when you're talking six-figure salaries and, a couple that are collectively earning over 200 grand, all the luxuries are gone, every single dollar is accounted for.
Yeah, I genuinely believe it impacts productivity across the whole economy, where you look at it and go, well, the harder I work, I'm not getting any further in front. It just leads to burnout, job dissatisfaction. I'm not sure where the answer is amongst those people who are experiencing this. Unfortunately, there's no cheap alternative anymore. I look around, Sydney, where we're based, and you go, well, what if you move out a little bit further? It doesn't seem to get much cheaper.
It's really interesting that it is the great Australian dream, but so many people know so little about what they need to do. So I think if you are investing, that's 100% one of the first things you should do is go and get that done. I think another way for first home buyers to save some money is to really go and do their research. Go and see a few mortgage brokers. Make sure that they're getting the best deal in the marketplace at the moment.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.